257.
Thank you
36
very, very
and
much.
257. Just give us a second to get her a mic.
Thank you. Right here, John, Tanya Hart, I talked to you on the red
Hey,
carpet. I
yes.
told you you were going to win.
You did.
I absolutely did. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Now, we had talked on the red carpet about the fact that this book is now, you know, on the New York Times bestsellers list. It's going to be in schools. But more, well, let me just mention this. When this book was written in 1853, two people reviewed it. Harriet Tubman and Frederick Douglass reviewed this in 1853. What would you say about that now as you stand here with an Oscar for writing a screenplay about this?
The only thing I would say is what I hope I've said before is that the praise goes to Solomon because it's his words and his life. And I've had a very nice career, but I look at the before and after, and the thing that made the difference was his memoir. So I don't know what the reviews were before, but he is an extraordinary individual, as are most people who survive something like this. So I just give him all the praise. I really do.
We're going to 257 and then 59.
John over here, Adam
Hey.
here with BuzzFeed. Hi, congratulations.
Thank you very, very much.
I wanted to get your thoughts on the fact that you are the only the second black person to win this particular, the Screenplay Academy Award. And Steve McQueen winning for Best Picture makes him the first black person to ever win that particular Academy Award. What does that mean to you?
I'll tell you what it means to me, and I think of, I think of my parents who simply wouldn't let me settle for second best and made me take typing lessons. My mother's a teacher and was very big into education. And I think of Solomon and his time when to write his memoir in parts of the country, that was a death sentence. So to be able to stand here and adapt that work, I know there are a lot of people who made this opportunity. I'm very proud, I'm very humbled, and I'm very hopeful for the future. I may only be the second, but I know there are so many people out there of so many different kinds and stripes, faiths and orientations that have stories to tell, and I'm so thankful to the Academy and to so many people in it who rewarded this story, not so much for me, but for people like Solomon.
We're going to 59.
Hi, John.
Then we'll go to 82.
Congratulations. Been a big fan of yours.
Thank you.
I know Tanya touched on this a little bit, but this book is on bestseller lists. It's back in curriculum in schools in some areas. How does that feel to bring a book that's kind of was dropped off, circulation, and now that this important story is now being shared with, students around the world?
I want to be very clear about something. Before I started this project, I didn't know Solomon's name. I didn't know his story. I didn't know his life. I didn't know anything about him. And the fact that you have a memoir that is in public domain that people could download for free and they choose to pay their money and to buy it and to read it, that means the world to me. And I can say for everybody who was involved in this film, our hope and our desire was certainly to entertain people, but if you can inspire people in what you do, I think of the movies and the stories that inspired me, that is so special, and I'm so thankful for it. It makes a difference when people choose with their pocketbooks and that people want to put out their hard-earned money for Solomon's story. That means the world.
We're going to 82 and then 92.
This over to your other side. Hi. This is for Shakya. You took a story from the past and you had to tackle the language as well. For you, how did you go in that process of kind of adapting that and deciding to do it that way and linking someone's story from before to the future?
Well, in terms of the language, if you're talking about the English that was used, I mean, that was the most difficult thing because Solomon, he was an exquisite writer, and he wrote with eloquence, and he wrote in an elevated nature, and I would say a big part of the process for me was just trying to learn an English that was not my English. It was a task, and it was a chore, but it was an education, as was about the circumstances of the time, the politics, and all those things. I think the fact that this story is relevant now is because stories about human nature are always relevant. Stories about individuals, no matter their difficult circumstances, see the beauty in the world. That's always relevant. And unfortunately, it's relevant because there are more people in slavery right now in the world than at any other time. And as beautiful as this film is, my fear was that people would walk away from it and say, that's the past, that's the distance. Thank God that's not us anymore. I hope that people, if they feel anything at all, will think about the world we live in at this moment right now.
We're going to 92 and then 42.
Hi, John, right in front of you, Samantha Thorley Prince, UK Press. Congratulations on this award.
Thank you.
So I'm curious now. We don't know what happened to Solomon Northrop, and I'm just curious, through all the research that you did to make this movie, to adapt the screenplay rather,
Yeah.
did you come across any clues or any hints to what could have happened to him?
No, I have no idea, and I was able to speak with Professor Skip Gates, who probably knows more about this subject matter in this area of history than anyone, and it's just one of those aberrations of history that someone who led a wonderfully ordinary life and then had 12 years taken away from him and came back and became a pillar of the abolitionist movement and a speaker and a motivator, just for some reason slipped through the cracks of history. We know the circumstances of his wife's death. We know that passing. I hope that there are people who are more accomplished than I that because of all of this may go back and find what happened to this individual, just where he is and where his final resting place is. He deserves that. He really, really does.
We'll go to 42 and then 17.
Hey, sir.
Yes, sir. With the use of the English language in your screenplay, are there any particular words that you had never used before that you learned about? I would like to especially ask about luxuriate. Where did that come from?
Luxuriate, I mean, that is a word that I know, and I think just the use of it in that particular circumstance, I tried to layer in a way that was commiserate with the way Solomon spoke. There were other little things like, just off the top of my head, a draw, things that I didn't know, or there was a line that Paul Giamatti's character spoke, not so much a word specifically, but he talked about my sympathies stretched the length of, originally it was stretched the length of a bill, and just in my research I found out that paper currency wasn't in circulation at the time. A little thing, a lot of historians might have been angry if I'd gotten that wrong, but again, it was just an education about a language that I speak but is not mine, and that was one of the pleasures, to put myself in a space that was so very different than my own.
17 and then